Let's start with the part that's not debatable. On February the 28th, 2026, the United States and Israel launched a coordinated strike campaign inside Iran. It was described as a massive operation hitting Iranian military and infrastructure targets. Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei was reported killed, and Iranian media later confirmed his death. Iran then hit back. Missiles and drones started flying across the region. By March 2nd, Kuwait said it was intercepting hostile drones for the third day in a row. Explosions and sirens were reported across Gulf cities, and the conflict widened as Israel struck Hezbollah targets in Lebanon after the attacks. And here is the March 2nd development that changes how you read everything. The American officials briefed Congress and said there was no sign Iran was about to strike the United States forces first before the US launched the campaign. So the preemptive strike story becomes less like we had no choice and more like we chose the moment. Now, I'm going to be clear. What comes next is pure speculation, not proof, just incentives, patterns, and who benefits. Because wars don't start from one single region. They start when multiple powerful groups all want the same direction for different regions. So here is the disturbing truth behind why this war may really be happening. Number 1. The decapitation bet. The first clue is the target. If Khamenei is gone, that's not a warning shot. That's regime-level warfare. Decapitation strikes are a gamble. The bet is simple. Remove the top and the system shakes. Remove the top and rivals inside Iran fight for control. Remove the top and the regime spends energy surviving instead of projecting power. This doesn't mean it will work. It means the plan wasn't one strike and stop. It was one strike and break. Number 2. The power of the timeline. That March 2nd briefing matters because it hints at something really ugly. This wasn't forced by a last-minute threat. When officials can't show an imminent attack, it looks like a war of choice. And wars of choice are usually about timing. Why now? Why not 6 months ago? Why not negotiate longer? Why not wait? Because timing is power. If you hit first, you set the tempo. You force everybody else to react. You decide what is normal looks like the next week. And once violence becomes normal, politics changes. Budgets change. Laws change. Speed changes. Everything becomes national security. Number 3. Everyone becomes an open target. Look at the map. This isn't just Iran and Israel. This is bases, allies, Gulf airspace, shipping lanes and cities. When retaliation spreads, leaders all start saying the same thing. We need protection. We need missile defense. We need more bases. We need to hit harder so it stops. So one theory is that the war isn't only about Iran. It's about locking the entire region into a new security reality. Once that happens, backing down looks like weakness, and weaknesses invites more attacks. So escalation becomes self-feeding. Number 4. Elite consensus versus public consent. Here is another signal. Polling after the strike showed low public support in the US. So this wasn't powered by public demand. So why do it anyway? Because modern wars can be launched with elite consensus first. Then the story is built after. The public is asked to catch up later. That's why the word imminent matters so much. If the threat is imminent, you don't need to debate. If the threat is not imminent, you need a reason people will accept. So the conspiracy version says, the narrative is not the cause, the narrative is the packaging. Number 5. The alliance machine. This part triggers people, so I will keep it clean. This isn't about religion. It's about politics, network or political networks. In the United States, pro-Israel lobbying and organizing is real. Evangelical pro-Israel organizing is massive too. That doesn't mean they control everything. It means they shape what is acceptable inside politics. They mobilize voters, they punish politicians who do not align, they reward politicians who do. So the theory is, war isn't only planned in war rooms, it grows inside a political ecosystem where certain foreign policy choices get rewarded over and over. And when a moment arrives where leaders can choose a big strike, the incentives are already built. Number 6. The Gulf geometry. Iran versus the regional order. Iran isn't just fighting Israel, Iran is fighting the regional order. For Gulf monarchies, Iran is a long-term regime threat. For Israel, Iran is the strategic backer behind missile and proxy pressure. So one dark reason this war happens is that many players prefer a weakened Iran, even if it's messy. Because if Iran's ability to project power breaks, the balance shifts. And if the balance shifts, new deals happen, new alliances and new rulers and new rules. Number 7. The real weapon. Oil and the Strait of Hormuz. Now zoom out to the global economy. Around 20 million barrels of oil per day flowed through the Strait of Hormuz in 2024. That's roughly a fifth of global petroleum liquids consumption. Hormuz is not a detail, it's a pressure valve for the world. Even if the strait never closes, risk alone raises prices, insurance rises, routes change, supply chains strain, and when energy prices rise, politics gets unstable, elections flip, protests grow, debt gets worse. So another theory is, this war is about who controls global economic stress, because stress is leverage. Number 8. The money layer. The refill cycle. Here is the coldest part. War burns inventory. When missile launched becomes a purchase order later, every interceptor fired becomes a factory shift later, every emergency becomes a budget expansion. The American defense budget is a massive machine. That doesn't prove they want war, but it also explains why war always has built-in winners. A system that big naturally pushes towards solutions that justify it. If your main tool is force projection, you'll see more problems as targets. Number 9. The great power audience. When the US and Israel strike like this, other capitals watch. Beijing watches, Moscow watches, every military planner watches. A coordinated strike is also a broadcast. This is what our network warfare looks like. This is what our alliances look like. This is what we can do when we move first. So one more theory is that the Iran is the stage, but the message is wider. It's deterrence theater in a world where major powers test each other without saying the words. World War. Number 10. The most disturbing theory. Controlled chaos. Now put it all together. A decapitation bet, a timeline choice, a region turned into open targets, political networks that reward hawkish policy, economic leverage through energy risk, a defense system that grows during crisis, a great power masses to rivals. It adds up to a chilling possibility. This war isn't only meant to win, it's meant to reshape. Reshape Iran's leadership, reshape Middle East alliances, reshape global energy risk, reshape what citizens accept as home. And if you reshape enough things, you don't need a clean victory, you just need a new normal. So here is the final question. If the American officials told Congress there was no sign Iran was about to strike first, why was this chosen now? Was it fear? Was it strategy? Was it politics? Or was it the economy? Or was it a mix of all of them? Drop your theory in the comments, because once the first strike lands, the incentives to climb higher get stronger, not weaker.